Hi, I'm Brian Deming, Board Chair for the Tampa Bay Wave. I want to thank you for joining us today, not only to meet some truly inspiring tech companies and their leaders, but also to engage in a meaningful conversation around diversity and inclusion. Thanks to our incredible partnership with the Nielsen Foundation, the Wave has been leading the way in supporting diversity in the tech industry for years. Now in its third year, our TechDiversity program is a model for identifying diverse-led tech companies and supporting their growth and success. This creates more jobs and greater economic opportunity for increasingly diverse populations. We're all acutely aware of the issues facing our country right now, and I know we're all searching for some tangible way to have a positive, meaningful impact. I believe our Tech Diversity program is one of those ways that we can do some small part to help. That makes this program more important now than ever before. Thank you again for joining us today. It's now my honor to introduce a truly inspiring local leader, Mayor Jane Castor. As most of you know, Mayor Castor has a long track record of leadership in our community, with many years in the police force as a past police chief and now as our mayor. We're so grateful for Mayor Castor's leadership, and we're especially thankful for her finding time in her incredibly busy schedule to spend time with us today.
Hi, I'm Mayor Jane Castor, and I'm thrilled to be participating in this powerful conversation about the importance of diversity and inclusion in tech. On behalf of the City of Tampa, I'd like to welcome these 15 exciting companies to the Tampa Bay Wave Accelerator Program, hosted right here in our great city. I'm happy that Tampa can not only connect these companies with the resources they need to grow, but I'm also proud that our city can help shine a light on the incredible technologies they've developed. One company is helping mothers identify allergens in their breast milk to prevent infants from getting sick. Another company has developed a peer-to-peer microloan solution that can truly help families in times of crisis. There's even one company that's honored with the Harvard President's Innovation Award for using telehealth to help people stop smoking. Innovative companies like these are keeping our city on the cutting edge, driving us forward towards an even brighter future. Innovation is what inspires us to chart new paths, imagine new solutions, and ultimately solve our greatest challenges. From helping us better manage or possibly prevent the spread of diseases like COVID-19 to helping us minimize the impact of unemployment and underemployment caused by pandemics. We need innovative solutions now more than ever. These past few months have been challenging for our local businesses and our community. But as we move forward together, I'm hopeful that we can build a new, stronger, and ever more diverse economy. An economy that not only fosters innovation and attracts good-paying jobs like those in tech and STEM, but one that is also built without the same barriers to entry that have limited us in the past. While many cities are talking about their commitment to diversity, I'm proud that the City of Tampa and organizations like Tampa Bay Wave are ahead of the curve. Our diversity is one of our greatest strengths because Tampa is a place for people of all backgrounds and genders. And I believe it's Tampa Bay Wave's long-term commitment to diversity that explains why their program continues to attract so many exceptional tech companies from across the U.S. and even Latin America. Thank you, Tampa Bay Wave, for hosting this incredible conversation, and thank you to the panelists for your time today. I'm excited to hear your thoughts and perspectives as we work to support our tech businesses, empower our diverse entrepreneurs, and build a brighter future together.
Wow. Thank you, Mayor Castor. That was such an incredible intro. I'm thrilled that we get to run this program here in the great city of Tampa, and I very much appreciate your support. Hi, I'm Linda Olson. I'm the CEO and founder of Tampa Bay Wave, and I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. The 15 companies you're about to meet will make up Wave's 21st Accelerator cohort. And as Mayor Jane Castor just told you, we have some truly innovative and exciting companies in this year's program, including 2 from Latin America. I hope most, if not all of you, will also stick around for an important and thought-provoking discussion around equity, diversity, and inclusion in the tech entrepreneurship space. There are too many statistics out there that demonstrate that there are some barriers that still need to be addressed. And as you must know, this is a conversation that is very timely. Not only do we need innovative solutions more than ever, but we also need a stronger and more diverse economy. And we couldn't do all this without the support of the Nielsen Foundation, who has been sponsoring the TechDiversity Accelerator program for 3 years. So I'm very proud to introduce Andrea Bertels with the Nielsen Foundation.
Director of Grant Making of the Nielsen Foundation. I'm so pleased that the Nielsen Foundation has continued to support the growth of the TechDiversity Accelerator at Tampa Bay Wave. A huge congratulations to the 15 companies that have been selected for this third cohort. In case you're not familiar, the Nielsen Foundation is a private foundation originally funded by Nielsen, a global measurement and data analytics company. Through our grant making, we seek to bridge divides and enhance the use of data by the social sector to reduce discrimination, promote effective education, and reduce global hunger. We've had a long-standing focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so when we began grant making in 2016, we knew we wanted to have a signature program that could really make a difference to promote inclusion in the tech sector. And that's when we knew the expertise, resources, and programming of Tampa Bay Wave could really help us to propel a diversity-led focus on tech startups to not only grow talent in this space, but also the pipeline for diverse-owned businesses and supply chains. Increasing the diverse pipeline of companies means that our economy will have better products, ideas, and initiatives in the market. And we also hope that it inspires other diverse creative leaders around the world to start their own businesses and bring their ideas to the market. But we know that there's a funding mismatch to help these companies grow. Less than 2% of venture capital goes to Black and Latinx entrepreneurs. And as recently as 2018, only 2.2% of $85 billion in VC funding went to women, and less than 1% of total funding to women of color. So now we're seeing this third year of the program kicked off at a time unlike any in recent history. Small businesses, diverse ideas, and innovations are more critical now than ever before. The Nielsen Foundation supports the TechDiversity Accelerator to help do just that. Accelerate your ideas, increase funding pipelines, and grow a technology sector that truly reflects our diverse world. Thank you to all of the panelists for your expertise in being a part of today's event, and congratulations again to the new cohort of the TechDiversity Accelerator.
Thank you, Andrea. My name is Dr. Richard Banassi, Cohort Director at the Tampa Bay Wave. Thank you all for joining us today. It's my pleasure to introduce you to the Tampa Bay Wave's 2020 TechDiversity Cohort, powered by Nielsen. Just as all of you attending today are joining in from throughout the US and abroad, these startups come to us from many cities. We have companies from Los Angeles, San Francisco and Silicon Valley, Dallas, Houston and Austin, New York City, Boston and Boise, and Tampa, Orlando, and Memphis. We also have 2 companies that are international, both of which are from Chile. Along with their geographic diversity, the cohort has diverse backgrounds. Multiple founders are serial entrepreneurs with previous exits. There's an MD, several hold PhDs, and several hold MBAs from Stanford, Harvard Business School, Northwestern, Wharton, and more. Multiple companies are also alumni from top-tier accelerator programs such as Y Combinator, TMCX, 0 to 510, and Techstars. Several have significant corporate experience with companies such as Amazon, Medtronic, Visa, Deloitte, Cisco, and more. And there's an active National Guardsman and military veteran who's also a Tillman Scholar and PhD. The strength of this class is wholly due to strong recruiting efforts from the WAVE team, the board of directors, our community partners, including our program sponsor, the Nielsen Foundation, our mentor network, and our community of founders and supporters from throughout the Tampa Bay region and beyond. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Tampa Bay Wave's 2020 TechDiversity Cohort, powered by Nielsen.
My name is Albert Huang, founder and CEO of Allotrope Medical, where we've developed a proprietary smooth muscle stimulation technology that allows surgeons, like myself, to identify critical structures such as the ureter during minimally invasive surgery. Our StimSight device connects directly with the surgeon's existing instruments and with the simple press of a foot pedal generates the characteristic movement of the ureter that the surgeons are already trained to see, and with seamless workflow integration. With our technology, surgeons are able to quickly and safely identify the ureter, even if it's hidden behind other structures or behind scar tissue. Our technology is applicable in over 6 million operations performed each year, including hysterectomies and colon resections, where ureter identification is a critical step of the operation. We provide our innovative solution not only at a low cost, but with a 100% per case profit margin, and are poised to change the surgical experience for both patients and physicians around the world.
Hi, I'm Gigi McDowell, founder and CEO of Fitfully, where we are building a platform that uses data analytics and automated workflows to handle wedding and event planning logistics. But we're also giving professional event planners a way to make money in their spare time. Our mission is to transform the entire events industry while empowering micro entrepreneurs. But we also want to make a luxury service accessible to an underserved market.
Hello everyone, my name is Jay Bang with Oracle Health. I'm developing an insertable device like this that will be placed just under the skin to record heart sounds and EKG to monitor heart failure and prevent hospitalization. So there's a wearable movements right now, but they suffer from accuracy and compliance problem. On the other side, we have invasive surgeries that are expensive with low adoption. So there's this huge middle ground that nobody's going after. So we're going after that with the subcutaneously insertable device. All the recorded data will go to the phone to the cloud, while we'll do machine learning trending analysis. So in 5 short months, we have developed the working demo to record EKG and heart sound signatures. And I've been accepted to MedTech accelerator called 0 to 510, $50,000 funded, patent is pending, regulatory process has been identified. Thank you very much, talk soon.
Hi, I'm Shalinda Silva, CEO of Vincere Health. I'm a recovering banker who left a decade-long career in structured finance and investment banking to pursue a master's in public health at Harvard. Here I started Vincere Health along with my co-founders Jake and Hardy. We've created a telehealth platform that pays smokers to quit, paid for by insurers. We offer a virtual smoking cessation program that includes remote monitoring, behavioral incentives, and counseling to serve the $11 billion unmet need in smoking cessation in the US today.
Hello, my name is Max Echeverria, and I am the founder of Squad, where we offer a productivity SaaS for field workers that gets you 20% more productivity despite of your team operates in rural or spread out settings. At this moment, we operate in the forestry, engineering, chemical, safety, and mining sectors in Chile. We were looking for a bigger market with similar needs, and we found an opportunity here in the south of the United States.
Hi, my name is Travis Holloway, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Solo Funds. Solo is a mobile lending exchange connecting lenders and borrowers together for the purpose of providing more affordable access to loans under $1,000. Think of us simply as technology to disrupt the predatory payday lending industry, and we function very much like Airbnb for loans. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leah Winter. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Winter Innovations. We are a medical device startup dedicated to improving patient outcomes by developing simple orthopedic products for overlooked aspects of surgery. We're currently working to obtain FDA clearance for our flagship product called EasyWhip. It's a patent-pending surgical device that leverages a 2-part needle to make whip stitching in orthopedic ligament and tendon repair surgeries like ACL surgery easier, faster, and more accurate. A better stitching tool can address failure rates as high as 25% for these surgeries, which costs the US healthcare system $4 billion annually. To learn more, please visit our website.
Hello, my name is Roger Sescalut, and I'm the CEO of Cicla 3D, where we produce 3D printing filaments with typical materials as PLA and ABS, but we also have our own composite materials. The first one works with nanocopper for antimicrobial applications. The second one is a recycled PET, and we have also different kind of plastics with wood.
Hi, my name is Ari Palmer, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of TaxTaker, and we help companies better access the #1 government-funded program for companies, the Research and Development Tax Credit. We're on a mission to help startups ease cash flow, extend runway through our software and expert support, and we've already put millions of dollars back into companies' back pockets, and we're on track for billions.
At 3 weeks old, my daughter June was admitted to the hospital with severe reactions to allergens in my breast milk. June cried for hours on end, had a severe rash, and even rectal bleeding. I couldn't figure out what foods were causing the problem. I was helpless and frustrated. My name is Dr. Trill Pollen. I am a molecular biologist and the founder of Free to Feed. We are creating an at-home allergen detecting test strip for breast milk. This will remove the mystery of what food is causing reactions, empowering millions of mothers to continue breastfeeding through infant food intolerance. They will have the freedom to test their breast milk, eliminating reactive allergens while safely feeding themselves and their children.
Hi there, I'm Christine Strauka. And I'm Caroline Strauka, and we're sisters and the founders of It's By You. We're the farm direct, flower, and plant subscription company. And we're disrupting the $48 billion global floriculture industry. It's By You was born out of our love for the environment, sustainability, and nature. We're the first flower company developing a marketplace for flower growers where they can sell their surplus flowers to the public. We are ending the problem of flower waste at farm level.
Hello, my name is Brian Young, CEO and co-founder of Home Lending Pal. We have built the first automated mortgage advisor that allows first-time home buyers to simulate the home buying process to instantly determine approval odds and affordability for homes that they're actually interested in. We do this by utilizing data-driven workflows, conversational artificial intelligence, and blockchain technology to automate the process of buying a home. Within a quick 3-step process in 5 minutes, we allow individuals to go through the process, then actually submit a potential mortgage application to any lender across the country that they're actually interested in working with.
Hi, I'm Joe Hodges, CEO and Chief Disruption Officer of Care Valet. Care Valet is a digital mobile health platform that connects consumers with their providers of care. Within the app, you're able to talk to a physician 24/7, 365 through our telemedicine service, as well as schedule appointments with your physicians and providers of care. Currently, we serve health plans and employers.
Hi, my name is Natasha Alexeeva. I am the founder and CEO of Friendly. I spent almost 15 years of my career working in applied analytics and data science space. I was director of product development at Visa, Kaiser Permanente, Amazon, and a few other Fortune 500 companies. I started Friendly because I've seen this problem happening over and over again. There's a huge market for it, and I believe we're best positioned to solve this problem.
I'd now like to introduce the moderator of today's panel. Keith Woods is Chief Diversity Officer at NPR. He leads and supports NPR's efforts to bring greater diversity to its audience, content, and staffing, while creating a workplace where diverse staff can grow and thrive. He is a resource across the organization for leadership and staff working on diversity efforts, as well as for public radio leaders from more than 260 member stations across the country. He also heads up the editorial training team, which helps strengthen and support the work of journalists by training them in leadership, storytelling, reporting, editing, diversity, audio production, and digital strategy. Before joining NPR, Woods was Dean of Faculty of the Poynter Institute, a school for journalists located here in St. Petersburg, Florida. He is a former sports writer, news reporter, city editor, editorial writer, and columnist, working his way through those jobs in 16 years at the New Orleans Times-Picayune. Keith is a native of New Orleans and has lived in Tampa for 21 years with his wife, Denise. Together, they have 5 children and 4 grandchildren. Keith, I'll let you take it from here.
I'll begin dive right in with some questions. First to you, Lakendria. In your role as the director of the Minority Business Accelerator Program in Tampa, as well as your current role as director of the Tampa Bay Super Bowl 55 host committee, you have engaged with racial and ethnic minority founders from throughout the region. What are some of the most common issues that you've seen these founders struggling with today?
Awesome. So thank you, Keith, and thank you to Linda and the Tampa Bay Wave for including me on this impressive panel. I really appreciate it. So in my work over the last couple of years here in Tampa, there are what I would say probably three common challenges that I have noticed amongst minority founders. And of course, this list can go on and on and on, but there are three that really stick out to me. So the first being, most minority founders have limited access to capital. No surprise, right? So a couple of the reasons many minority businesses have limited personal funds to offset a
We'll give Lakendria a second to have the signal straighten itself out. Well, I'm going to go ahead and move on from here and come back to Lakendria. Dr. Moria, if I may, you've worked with some of the nation's and the world's leading technology companies in IBM and NASA and Hyperloop, as well as with Singularity University, Forbes, and MIT. As a technology leader, can you speak a bit about the Latinx community's role in innovation, both now and where you see it into the future?
First of all, thank you very much, both Linda and Tampa Bay Wave, Dr. Manasi for the opportunity, and you, Keith, for moderating the session and my co-panelist. To your question, it's not just the Latinos. I think there has been an extensive amount of female leadership, of African-American leadership, of Hispanic leadership throughout technology and science for generations. A caveat being that they haven't had the voice that they deserved in many instances, and there's been very many Latino leaders in science and tech and entrepreneurship that have been leading the way in places like NASA way before I was ever involved in a consultancy relationship with them. And same thing with computer science, right? There's not just Latinos, but if you go back to the origination of our first algorithms, it was really, you can attribute it to Ada Lovelace in the late 1800s. And so it was really a female who really generated the computers and everything else that we've done since that generation. And it's going to be growing exponentially from this point forward. When it comes to Latinos specifically, if we look at the route or the trajectory that it looks like we're taking from a population perspective, there's going to be more and more Latinos within the population, but we need to kind of level the playing field when it comes to diversity and equality amongst access to capital and amongst opportunities. And institutions and projects such as Tampa Bay Wave has with TechDiversity is the things that are really going to help level that playing field. And that's where I see things going forward. But right now, even in the circles that I tend to sit on, it's still an issue. It's still an issue with opportunity from all levels, from pre-K education on through college education to then opportunities both at mid-level at tech companies and then in the C-suite. There's a dearth of minorities across the board, and there needs to be a really concerted effort at multiple levels to give opportunities to rising minorities and underrepresented communities from all backgrounds to be able to lead, to be able to exceed, and to be able to transform not just this country, but the world through entrepreneurship.
Well, thank you. And Lakendria, I'm coming back to you again. I think, Dr. Mori, I'll return to you with the same question. What are some of the obstacles? You mentioned right at the top, access to capital. Lakendria, what else is out there right now in the way?
Yes. So, in addition to a lack of access to capital, a lot of minority founders also have limited access to key decision makers. So, typically, they can't get past the gatekeepers and gain access to the key decision makers that purchase their goods or services, or would even need their goods or services. This typically leads minority founders to start businesses that have a low entry barrier, also have low capital requirements. Thus, they also have low survival rates, which tends to weaken their ability to buffer losses. I think, as we've seen, especially here recently with COVID-19. And the third that I would point out is a limited access to information and knowledge. So while many minority businesses are experts in their respective industries, they tend to lack access to additional information and knowledge to facilitate capacity building as well as business growth. So limited management skills, entrepreneurial capabilities, a lack of prior family business ownership is also less frequent among Black and Hispanic and other minority business owners. So there isn't any additional education or entrepreneurial experience that their previous generations can tend to pass on to new and up and coming entrepreneurs. Here in our community, here in Hillsborough County, although almost half of the businesses in Hillsborough County are minority owned businesses, roughly about 48%, they contribute to only about 4.7% of the total revenue in Hillsborough County, which really indicate that minority businesses, although they are fruitful in the marketplace and they have representation in the marketplace, their growth is much slower than their non-minority counterparts.
Which speaks directly to the question of why an accelerator is necessary, why programs like the one that Tampa Bay Wave it has put together over these years is necessary. Anna, I want to come to you here and ask you, there's significant underrepresentation of women at all levels and high turnover rates, and a lack of both opportunity as well as funding for women tech leaders. What are some of the ways that organizations of all kinds, from venture capital to corporations, can help promote a better environment for women in tech?
Sure. Thank you for the question. Well, I think in general, I'm actually optimistic and perhaps a bit excited at what I think will be one of the byproducts of this extraordinarily difficult and tumultuous time that we are all living through on so many personal and professional levels. And I see that in many ways, and it's evidenced by us all dialing in from our homes here to be together virtually, is what I really see as this collapse of the professional, personal, parental continuum in a way that I think and I hope will inure to the benefit of women and female entrepreneurs specifically, as well as all founders in general, where we've gone from this somewhat artificial construct of sitting across the table from one another, and you've got pitch books in front of you, which I heard someone refer to as an adult coloring book, which made me laugh. And though we still ask for them at our fund, but I think there's been a lot of personality and personal experience that by necessity has been infused in the conversations that have unfolded in recent weeks and months between entrepreneurs and investors. And I have joked over the years that sometimes startups are like kids and my kids are like startups. That has never felt better, perhaps, than it does today. But I think that there is an opportunity for female entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, irrespective of whether or not you're a parent, to introduce a different layer of background and personality that I think historically, and I'll speak from personal experience as both a female investor and formerly a female entrepreneur. Sometimes I think there's a tendency to feel like you have to keep this gated because you have to be your most buttoned up professional self at all times to dissuade some of the implicit bias that you might be facing in pitch meetings and other business meetings more broadly. So I'm hopeful that there is a bit of a leveling of the playing field when it comes to um, gender-based equity around the conversations of investing in female entrepreneurs. Um, More broadly, and I think taking a step back, I think um, one of the things that I encourage the female founders in our portfolio. So we have about 140 companies that we've invested in so far in the Rise of the Rest portfolio. And while we focus most explicitly and most intentionally on place, we see opportunity through the lens of geography. We invest everywhere in the country, with the exception of Silicon Valley, New York City, and Boston, which conversely is where 75% of venture capital more broadly is invested. And while our explicit intentionality to date has been around place, we are proud of some of the metrics around the entrepreneurs that we've backed more broadly. 42% of our portfolio is comprised of companies led by women or founders of color. It's better than kind of the abysmal industry stats, but I think as we all also sit in this moment right now where we are focused on more intentionality more broadly, something we continue to think about as well. But when I offer advice to some of the female founders in our portfolio as they're going out to pitch or raise their next rounds, and it could be as simple as looking through a pitch deck or just talking through kind of the storytelling narrative more broadly, I encourage them to not bury the lead. And what I mean by that is don't save your own accolades or accomplishments or industry expertise or the team that you've built until a later slide in the deck or a subsequent part of the story. If you're an engineer, if you hold several patents to your name, if you've worked in, for example, supply chain and logistics or the retail industry for 6, 10, 20 years, put that up front because the reality is there is a measure of bias that exists when, and the data bears this out, unfortunately, in our industry when it comes to investing in female founders or founders of color. And the final point I would add, by way of advice I've tried to take for myself as an investor, and something I would encourage both founders and investors who are joining us to take a look at, is a great body of work and research that was put out by a series of researchers at Columbia Business School and was published back in, I believe, 2017 through the Harvard Business Review. And it talks about the gender lens of biased questions that comes from actually both male and female investors when they're asking questions and diligencing companies led by men versus companies led by women. And the initial thought was, oh, well, maybe it's just a question of homophily. And if you get more women investors in the room and around the proverbial table, then you'll, by extension, have more capital flowing to female founders. What the research found was that that actually wasn't the core factor in what was happening for both male and female founders, is that when they would ask this same question of male founders, they would ask it with what's called a promotion orientation, versus when they would ask a similar question of female founders, they would use what the study refers to as a prevention orientation. So for example, an investor may be asking a founder about the potential for the market, but they may ask the male founder, well, how big do you think this market can be? And they may ask the female founder, well, how predictable do you think your cash flows will be in this industry, for example? And so I think there are steps around intentionality that we as investors can take when we kind of check ourselves and thinking about not just the questions we're asking, but how we're framing them and why we're doing that. And conversely, for female founders, I think there's a great opportunity to recognize that that might be happening to you and to try to think through how you can pivot to answering the question on a more forward-looking promotional orientation versus a prevention.
Thank you. And Andy, I want to ask you a little bit about what Kaufman is doing now in this space. But but let me ask you to first take a piece of what I think I've heard from the other three panelists, and think about this moment in time and the fact, again, that we're gathered in this kind of space, that the world as we see it is changing, and perhaps permanently in some ways, the way that we are doing business. You heard Jose talk about the need for in some ways for us to know the history and remember the degree to which people have been engaged in this work, whether you're talking about people of color or women overall, long before now. You heard LaKendria talking about the need for people to have knowledge that that's out there, it's available, but not necessarily connected to some of the people that she's working with. And then you heard Anna talk just now about the kinds of things that if you were a woman entrepreneur, you would really need to know today to kind of counteract some of the issues around discrimination and bias that we're dealing with. Well, in this moment today, Andy, do you see any of those things being any of the path for success among any of those things being made better by the Zoom era that we're in now?
So normally when I speak, I start off with a slide that says the world is shifting. And then I proceed to take 15 minutes to explain to people why I believe the world is shifting. The fact that we're all Zooming in to this event, we're all hopefully wearing masks and fairly quarantined in our own homes, I don't need to explain that. I think the thing that really has struck me about the last couple months is that my slide turns out to be true. It's not my original idea, but the world is really shifting in significant ways. And what's actually happening, I believe, is we're actually leaving the industrial age and we're moving into a new human era. And the rules that will rule and govern us and the values that are important in this new age, we don't have a name for it yet because it's so new. I think we'll look back on this time and say this is when we left the industrial age and we went into a new human epic. And if you think about it, there's only been 4 human epics in the world. We were hunter-gatherers, then we shifted to an agrarian society, then we shifted into cities, and now we're shifting into whatever the next thing is. And at this moment in time, significant changes happen on all levels of society. I mean, even if you think of from the agrarian age to the age of sort of the industrial age and really cities, I think something like 80% of Americans lived on farms in like 1870, and 50 years later, it was 80% of people lived in cities. And a lot of this is being driven by a number of factors: the exponential increase in technology and the accessibility and the democratization of technology, which greatly affects everything that's been already said. I think the hyperconnectivity has positive effects, especially on being an entrepreneur, but it also allows pandemics to move around the world. And then the third, and this one is really important, is the demographic shifts in our society. So by 2055, the United States of America will have no major ethnic or cultural group that's a majority of the country, right? So what you would, some people, they call it the new majority, which is a term I like, is that people today that we often refer to as minorities will actually make up the majority of our country. But the reality is that our systems and our structures and the way we've supported entrepreneurs in the industrial age caters to primarily white entrepreneurs and systems and structures that have been built since the first day, and even the days before America. And one of the things that this conversation I think is really important to elevate is that inclusion and diversity in tech and entrepreneurship. Yes, there's a social imperative. We should do it because it's the right thing. It's about equality. It's about giving people equal opportunity. But there's also an economic imperative. If a majority of our country are made up of people of color, a majority of the country are women, if a lot of our communities that Anna's Rise of the Rest serves that are outside of the major metropolitan economic hubs are not able to get the entrepreneurial resources to help entrepreneurs, it's not just going to hurt the entrepreneurs in those places or women or people of color or immigrants that are typically left out. It's going to hurt all of us because we're all part of the same system. And I think COVID has driven that point home, at least for me, that we're all connected. But the upside of it is that in entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs thrive, innovation thrives in dense networks of people. And what I love, and Coffin's been a big fan of what Linda and Tampa Bay Wave and sort of helped spur in Tampa. We've been watching for quite some time. And then all the other activity is that the Tampa and St. Pete have really got together and said, let's work together. Let's work together to raise up our entrepreneurs. And let's do that to address some of the barriers and some of the ways that we've marginalized some people in the past. So super excited to be here at this thing. That was a little bit of a long analysis. I'll stop there and let maybe my panelists respond to that in case there's some agreement or disagreement.
Well, does anybody want to respond directly? And then I'll move on to my next question. We can't see you, Dr. Morris, so I'll call you first in the event that you want to add something to that.
Sure. So I agree with the vast majority of what Andy said, with the one caveat in being that even though a global pandemic has brought us together in certain aspects, right? We realize that we are one humanity and we are one people, and it goes beyond just one country, right? And that's one of the neat things about working in certain fields of aerospace, where you start seeing things from a global perspective, countries without boundaries, without walls. So that part I do agree with, but there are, when you start looking a little bit more into the granular details, it also does expose even more inequalities. As a physician, we are seeing that certain ethnic groups, African American, Latinos, are disproportionately affected by these types of things, and it's multifactorial. But one of the major reasons is because there have been systemic issues with inequalities, both from an economic perspective and healthcare perspective, and it's all kind of tied into it. But these types of things, unfortunately, expose that even more, and it shows us that foundationally we have had for literally centuries just systems that have not given the same types of opportunities to all people. But I do also agree with Andy with the prospect that regardless of who has been left behind economically, it's not just that subgroup of individuals or that culture or those areas that are affected. It really does affect the whole economy. It affects everyone's GDP. And this is what I think this is a bit of a part of the story that needs to be told a little bit better, so that everyone really truly understands that we are in this together. And one thing I will add, though, that there does seem to be a bit of a politicization of everything, right? It's not, things aren't fact anymore. Things are just fact and opinion, and everyone's opinion is the same as everyone else's. But realistically, we have to get back to understanding and appreciating evidence-based discourse, and this type of data showing that it affects more than just one group of people, that it really affects us all, both whether it's a healthcare perspective or economic perspective. Those are the types of data points that we really have to double down on, and there has to be a lot of concerted effort from everyone to be focusing on truth and on fact, and saying that we believe this because there is this evidence behind this, and this is how that study was performed, and this is what that evidence is, and to support the fact that we need to be elevating everyone at the same time, because it's for the good of all.
Yeah, and Lakendria, history will tell us that that even when we know that it is in our best interest to act differently, as Andy's point is all about, and as Dr. Morey sort of emphasizes, even when we know that, we don't always respond that way. So the question really is, it really in some ways underscores why this kind of work is so important. So I'm just wondering if you can tell us a little bit about what you're doing now to move this ball forward in the work that you're doing. Lakendria, you're muted.
My apologies. So I have been, incredibly fortunate to be able to build, several programs and spearhead several programs that really work to cater to and provide additional resources and access really to underserved communities, particularly those that are Black and Latino, Hispanic. And what I find is that these diverse programs tend to build a very unique sense of community and trust amongst the minority business owners that usually don't exist in non-diverse programs. And it's not because the non-diverse program isn't trustworthy or they've done something wrong, but it's because of the historical challenges that, were just mentioned by both Andy and Dr. Maury that have existed within minority populations. So, for example, overpromising on services and results that unfortunately some programs can't deliver, or corruption in some countries, or any other factors that really move minority business owners away from seeking help and additional resources. Minority programs like the ones that I've spearheaded tend to provide a level of cultural familiarity, if you will, that exists between the program itself and the diverse entrepreneurs in which they serve. So certain challenges that the diverse entrepreneur have can go unsaid and still be addressed by the program because that program is aware of what those challenges are. These programs also tend to reduce any language barriers that may exist or even cognitive abilities that can be addressed in a way that is not threatening or judgmental even. So at the end of the day, all of the entrepreneurs that are a part of these diverse programs can truly get the help that they need versus a one size fits all approach. And what you will find, what I found in building an accelerator program for the Tampa Bay Chamber that specifically address the needs of Black and Hispanic business owners who have reached a certain level of success but need some additional support to move forward. Building a program that is catered to that specific niche has worked in those minority business owners' favor. And then for the Super Bowl host committee, understanding what NFL contractors and event producers and even host communities and our community partners need in order to create such a monumental event has allowed me the opportunity to fine tune not only the business that we source for to provide or to fulfill contracts, but really dial into some of those professional development workshops and webinars at this point that they need to really understand the lay of the land and how they can be successful in completing those contracts, and then how they can leverage this opportunity to further engage in our local market, especially here in Hillsborough County and statewide.
Thank you so much. I was trying to protect you from the dried throat. Linda, I'm going to come back to you here and let you wrap, as we are just about out of time here. And I'm going to run and get water while you're talking.
Sure. Well, thank you, Keith. Wow. When I envisioned this event and trying to pull this panel together, this is the dream team that I imagined, and the event has been better than I expected, and I had high expectations to begin with. Definitely very thought-provoking. I love how you guys describe what's happening now in this world and helping us all think differently. I hope that this was something that you all enjoyed participating in, because I certainly enjoy listening. So thank you so much. Again, I want to just say thank you to the Nielsen Foundation. Without their support, we wouldn't have this accelerator program and these 15 exciting companies that we get to work with this summer. I also want to say thank you to DCE Productions. I think this virtual event went off spectacularly. That's a hard word to say, but thank you so much for all your professionalism in helping us put this event on. Special thank you to WUSF as our media partner on this. It's much appreciated. And I certainly want to say thank you to everybody in the the City of Tampa staff, Mayor Jane Castor, your support, ongoing support of this community, including the tech startups, has been phenomenal. We appreciate your leadership. But it's more than just the City of Tampa staff. It's just a whole growing community here throughout the Tampa Bay region that I think are not only understanding the value of entrepreneurship, particularly high scale tech entrepreneurship, but also making sure that entrepreneurship is a dream that anyone can pursue, and that we do what we can to provide more equal access to all entrepreneurs as they try to solve some of the world's biggest problems right now. So, and of course, I can't do this without the phenomenal Tampa Bay Wave team. So it's my way of going whoop whoop. So, Dr. Richard Manassi, you are phenomenal yourself. The amazing Basha Ferdinand, who's been behind the scenes the whole time, making sure this thing goes smoothly. You are a dream to work with. And then I've got the amazing support of what I call the best nonprofit board ever, including my chair, Brian Deming, that kicked off the event this afternoon. So thank you so much. I'm going to pass it right back to Keith real quick. You want to just round out with the panelists? Any like parting words before we sign off?
Well, first about thank you everybody for your participation here and for these, I think, deeply insightful look at the some of the challenges that we have, but also by the things that you said, and more importantly, by the work that you're doing, the contribution that you're making to getting us from good to better and better to best in this work. So I just want to add my thanks to everyone, Linda, you just named, who helped me get ready for this panel, and to the panelists themselves for your help.
Can we just pull real quick one phrase or sentence that you want anybody watching today to kind of take away from this, whether it's something that resonates, something that's going to maybe help move the needle in our communities? Andy?
Sure. Boy, one word. As we are in this moment of transition into what is a new era, I think the phrase that often comes to mind is, you're not stuck in a traffic jam, you are the traffic jam. And the recognition that the challenges that we face, and particularly people of color and women and some of the communities we've talked about face, we are all contributing to those challenges. And we also are the answer. One of my favorite writers, Margaret Wheatley, always says, whatever the problem, community is the answer. So I'll leave you with that.
Nice. Anna?
Can I just say, listen to Andy? Because I have not added that.
All right. Well,
make it a policy never to follow Andy on these sorts of things.
Okay, lesson learned. I'll circle back up. LaKendria, how would you like to say something? Say whatever Andy said.
Okay, so not what Andy said, but kind of along the lines of what Andy said. So I would say that the entrepreneurial ecosystem here in our community does not work and is not effective unless there are equal and diverse participants involved. And so that not only extends from race, ethnicity, gender, but also experience levels and expertise and industries, backgrounds, affluence, and influence. There must be equal collaboration among our corporations here, our funding sources, and our entrepreneurs for our ecosystem to be effective. And at any point that you hear one of the three parties complaining, that means that there is a break in that system, and it is not working as it should. And so, kind of as Andy said, taking this time to step back and look at where we are and create some transformation will be beneficial to everyone involved.
Thank you. And last but not least, Dr. Morey, Jose.
Yeah, thank you everybody again for the opportunity. I really appreciate it, and Linda for your leadership. I think two lasting moments or things to remember is we do live in unique times, and we have an opportunity now, and I think this is an opportunity for our generation, and we have to remember to seize it and to not continue to be reactive, but to really be proactive. Because if we're going to see true transformation, then we have to be actively working at it. And yes, we might have visceral reactions to whatever's going on in the day, but we have to remember that these things have always been going on, and we have to be actively working against them because they have been actively causing this for a long time. And it takes a concerted effort by everyone, and it is community. It takes a team effort. And to the startups out there, remember that as you succeed, you're standing on shoulders of people that came before you, and we all do. And to not forget that when you do succeed, when you reach those new heights that you ultimately all will reach, don't forget to raise others with you, because that's really the most important thing in life. It's not what you take or what you make, but it's what you give back.
Awesome. Keith, do you want to say any last words before we sign off? You're on mute.
I think I'll get this right before we go back into the office. I think that's a great coda for the work that we're doing, that we are fighting against challenges that are both historic and ongoing. So the work is both corrective for things that have happened in the past, and very much active in working against the problems of today and in favor of the opportunities of tomorrow. So remembering those two things: one, that the work is today, the work is tomorrow. But also, and again, I appreciate Dr. Mori saying this, recognizing that you can have a hand as you move and succeed in this work, in helping the people who are coming behind you.
Well, thank you for moderating. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, everybody, for your participation, and thank you, viewers, for watching. I'm going to sign off and just ask everybody who's watching this video to maybe try to think about what it is that they can do differently out there to help improve the lives of entrepreneurs and change the world. So thank you all. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.